Well, hi everybody again, it's Chris's Kitchen here, getting ready for Christmas, and today we're going to make some Christmassy cranberry and caramel flapjack, and this is one of my family's favourite dishes. Always get asked to make this lots of times for Christmas. Remember, always wash your hands, and I've just done mine, and have an adult to supervise you if you're going to use the cooker. And this does require melting butter and sugar. So I've put the oven on ready to heat up, and I've already lined my dish, and I haven't got a 22cm square one, so I'm using a longer rectangular dish which I know works. Line it with some baking paper so that you can get the flapjack out easily. And then we're going to tip 250 grams of butter straight into the pan, and I've cut it into cubes to help it to melt more quickly. And then I'm going to add the sugar, caster sugar, which I've weighed out ready. That's golden caster sugar, but if you've only got white caster sugar, that's okay. Golden just helps it to taste a bit toffier. And then caramel from a tin. Now, the recipe calls for 6 tablespoons, which is around about 2/3 of the tin, so whatever you feel easiest. And squidge that straight into the pan as well. Oh, lovely. And then I'm going to turn the heat on and melt it gently so that it all gets going nicely. And remember, it can burn, sugar and caramel can burn pretty quickly, so we want to keep it moving and get it melted. So I'm just mixing it all up and we'll get it started. This is a sweet recipe, so only have a small amount, but as long as you're sensible, it's delicious and really, really nice. So it just all gets melted in together. We'll just wait for it to heat up a little bit and we'll get it going. So it doesn't take much cooking, but at the same time, always remember to be safe. So I hope you're getting excited about Christmas. I certainly am. And I've got my little Christmas tree up there just to decorate the place a little bit. And I'm going to put the real Christmas tree up soon. Okay, it's starting to get a bit liquidy. A bit more liquid maybe. And if you leave the bar of butter whole, it takes a while to melt, so that's why I thought I'd speed it up a little bit, but even so it still takes a little while. And then while that's melting, I've weighed out the oats and the flour so that they're ready just to tip straight in when everything's melted and liquidy. And then we'll be able to put it in the tin, flatten it down a little bit, and then cook it in the oven. And then while that's doing, I usually wait until the flapjack's got about another 10 minutes to cook before I make the topping, because the topping is caramel as well, with some butter, and it needs to be hot or warm still to pour over the top of your cake. So while the flapjack's cooking, towards the end of the cooking, we'll make the topping and then put it over the top of the flapjack and put the sprinkles on. I've got cranberries and chocolate nibs and pumpkin seeds and some special gold stars that I found for Christmas. So I'll show you those a little bit later on. And this is starting to get quite liquid now. There's just a few lumps of butter in it still. So stirring it all the time. And I like to use a plastic spatula that gets right around the edge of the pan and wipes the toffee mixture off it. So it's really getting nice and liquidy now. There's lots of different ways you can flavour flapjack. And you can put fruit in it, or if you wanted to, you could put some raisins in this one, and that might make it a bit more Christmassy if you like raisins, but I like the plain flapjack base. And I don't know whether you can see into the pan now. Have a look into the pan. There's only 2 or 3 little bits of butter left, so it's almost ready to tip the other things in. I think that's just about done it. We don't want it to boil, we just want it to melt and be warm enough to handle and to mix everything in. That's lovely, everything's melted now, so I'm going to turn my pan off and then I'm going to tip the oats in. And you can see that and mix them. I'm going to mix a little bit of flour in as well. I could have mixed the flour and the oats first, but I didn't do that. Put some more oats in. There's quite a lot of oats to go in, but it will all mix in nicely. And it starts to get a bit thicker. So I put the rest of the oats in. Keep stirring. It's getting stiffer now, so maybe a bigger pan if you have difficulty getting everything in. A slightly bigger pan was probably a better idea so that it doesn't make too much mess when you're stirring it around. So you can see how the oats are all getting coated. You want the caramelly mixture all over so that they all bake up beautifully. Make sure it's well mixed in. Look at that. Oh, it does look nice. There we are. I think that's all right. Just knock those few in. And then I'm going to spoon it into my dish. Bring that as close as I can. Sometimes the paper likes to bounce out, so into the corners. Oh, it'll spread anyway as it cooks, so you don't need to move too much. Just move those over there and then just flatten it down a little bit. Look at that, lovely and golden, and the smell is lovely. Right. Just flatten it down. There we are. That will now cook. If you spread it evenly, then it cooks more evenly. And I'm going to put that in the oven, which is warm, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. 35 to 40 minutes usually is okay. If it starts to get very golden, I will take it out a bit earlier. So that's it. I will see you soon for the topping. Bye. So the flapjack is almost cooked. It's still in the oven, but it's just about finished. So now I've got my butter and the remaining caramel, which was about a third of the tin, in the pan, and I'm just heating it up, and we're going to make this into a sort of a fudgy caramelly topping by heating it and stirring it until it goes to a darker golden brown. So I've just got to get the butter melted first of all, and it's going, and then we're going to leave it for a few minutes bubbling away, and that will make the fudgy topping. And I've got all my sprinkles ready, so this will be a sticky topping. And remember, caramel, when it's hot, it stays hot for a long time, so be very careful. Don't let it splatter on your hands, or if it does, put them straight under cold water to take the heat out of it. But this is one where you, especially for younger girls, you need your carer supervising you. So make sure that this is done carefully. So you can see I'm just melting the butter, and it's all melting into the caramel, and then it will boil very shortly. And once it's bubbling, I'm going to turn off the camera and just keep stirring it for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to it. And meanwhile, I'll check the flapjack's cooked as well. Getting all mixed up, all excited about this. There we are. The butter and the caramel have melted together and they were sort of a lovely mid-brown colour. So it's getting hot, you can see that. It's now beginning to bubble, so I'm going to leave it bubbling and keep stirring it and come back to me in a few minutes. I'll just keep this going for about 5 minutes and then we'll have the flapjack ready to put the topping on. So the flapjack's out of the oven and as you can see it's nicely, just slightly, gives slightly, and this is the caramel which is darker golden brown and it has thickened, so it's been boiling for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn that off now and I'm going to pour it over the top of the warm flapjack. It has cooled off for about 5 minutes. So squidge that over the top and spread it out. Oh, look at that. Make sure the corners have got some as well, the people, otherwise. There we are, spread that nicely and then it's already starting to thicken as it hits the mix. So I'm now going to sprinkle, I've mixed my pumpkin seeds and cranberries, so I'm just going to sprinkle them over the top, the red and the green Christmassy colours. Try and sprinkle them fairly evenly so that you get a mix of the fruit on each of the squares that you're going to cut it into. There we are. Maybe a few more down there. And then chocolate chips, and again I've got milk chocolate here because I didn't have any dark chocolate and I thought, well, that's alright, it doesn't matter. If you want to use white chocolate you could do, but they're just the little chocolate button, the bits that you buy for cooking. And then last of all I've got some Christmassy gold stars or gold confetti or whatever you want, and just sprinkle those on and make it look really festive. And adds a bit of crunch to the top as well. Look at that. Doesn't that look tasty? And then I'm going to leave that in the tin to cool down completely and I will cut it into squares and enjoy it later on. So enjoy that. Happy Christmas everybody.